Welcome to the Maine-J Show. It's your boy Maine-J, and this is, of course, Maine-Chat. All right. So I know I'm like pretty much a day and a half, 2 days late, but you know I couldn't go too much long without saying something about doing my recap on Brandy and Monica. So here you go. Let's go. So Monday they had a versus, long overdue. Made history on Instagram. They had over 1.2 million views in total views. I had it on Instagram and I had it on Apple Music. Apple Music, I felt like just was a better, clearer quality. Apple TV rather. And a total of 5 million people watched the verses. Historical. I personally didn't look at it as a battle and a versus each other type thing because they both came out around the same time. They both put out just as much music. They both solidified their spot in the music industry. You know, if you grew up in the 90s like I did, you couldn't talk Brandy without talking Monica. You couldn't talk Monica without talking Brandy. You listened to both because they were both on the radio, compared to now when, you know, they're not really all making music back to back and they're not on soundtracks and, you know, appearances and features and all these different things. It's just like, you know, people are putting out music, people ain't buying albums like that, or, you know, buying CDs like back in my day. So you kind of just have an option. Okay, I'm just gonna play only Monica today. I'm not gonna listen to the radio. I'm gonna play only Brandy today. Compared to, you know, my day, that was just heavy rotation. Brandy, Monica, Leah, Maya, you know, all these different people. So I think that's the difference. So for me, I didn't look at it as a battle. I looked at it as back-to-back songs, back-to-back classics that I grew up listening to back in the day. All right, so some of the things that I noticed and that I peeped, there are a lot of people that did look at it as a battle. Each round, one person played a song, well, Brandy over here, Monica over there. And I think that some people were being biased. Some people were just like, I love Brandy, so Brandy won all the rounds. Some people like, I like Monica, and Monica won all the rounds. There were some people that was like, all right, let's be realistic here. I love Brandy, but that particular round and that particular song, Monica got that. I love me some Monica, but you know, Brandy got that round. Brandy got that, you know what I'm saying? And there's people who genuinely like both. There are people who say, like me, I'm Team Monica all day. I've always been Team Monica. I'm that rowdy chick. Sometimes I have to stop because my mouth too slick. I've always been the Monica fan. But someone who sings and someone who considers themselves a vocalist, I know that Brandy is the more technical vocal person of the two. I just always thought that Monica was just more relatable, more real, and I liked her songs and the beat and her swag, and there was more of a connection. You know, there's some people that's like, no, it's just Brandy and that's it. There are other people that's like, it's Brandy, but we're not going to act like Monica can't sing. We're not going to act like Monica didn't. You know, so a lot of those, I just think that there were some people who were fair and said, okay, we like both. It was an even round. There was some people that's just Brandy, just Monica. So here's some of the things that I noticed that stuck out, that made, if we're talking about round for round and song for song, that made certain things, well, so straight out the gate, you know, Brandy did her thing. What about all of the, you know, she just started off right. You know, and then Monica came back with, you know, her starting off right with her first song. Brandy had the upper hand in a few things, okay? She had the upper hand because she utilized Tupac and she utilized Biggie Smalls. Biggie mentioned her, Tupac mentioned her, and she made sure that when she was doing her intros to a few songs, she made sure that she played the Tupac verse and the Biggie verse, and then she put her songs on. You know, I'm like, you know what? You ain't touching that. Monica, you my girl, but you're not touching that. She also did another cheating. I call it cheating also, where she did Whitney Houston. Impossible. I'm like, all right, B, you letting us know. And then when she did Mo to the E to the Mo to the E to the, I'm like, okay, Brandy, you doing all these intros to other movies and different things and people that shouted you out. And I'm like, Monica, you girl, I love you, girl, but you ain't touching that. But then Monica said, oh, I got something too. And she talked about one of her first loves, okay? And she did that C Murder. Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, okay, they coming with intros and outros and neutros and some more stuff. So I loved every bit of that aspect of it. Also, what I liked is that they did some live vocals. It wasn't just letting you play the music, the song, you play your song, I play my song. There was some vocals. So Brandy was ad-libbing to her song. She was ad-libbing to Monica's songs. Monica was singing. You know, when they broke down the music, Monica would give you little vocals. And then sometimes when some of Brandy's songs that Monica liked, Monica was singing some of those songs too. So it was some musicality going on too. So it wasn't just dry in that aspect, okay? So that's another thing that I really thoroughly enjoyed about it. They seemed to be thoroughly, yeah, there was some off energy, but they seemed to overall thoroughly enjoy each other as fans. Brandy respects Monica as an artist. They may not have respect and there might still be some underlying beef, but Brandy respects Monica as an artist. You can tell because she knew a lot of Monica's songs, like a lot of them. You know, they were friends at one point. And like I said, artists listen to the radio. So Brandy was probably listening to the radio back in the day, just like Monica was listening to the radio. They were teenagers. What do teenagers do? Listen to the radio and watch videos. Yeah, they were celebrities, but they had some teenager moments too. So I enjoyed that they knew each other's songs and that they respected each other's songs and that aspect of it. Now, there was a lot of shade thrown. Okay, little, it wasn't like off the bat, like hardcore shade, but it was subtle shade. Like you had to really be looking at, watching and paying attention to see how there was shade. But one of the shades that I noticed when Brandy was talking about sitting up in my room, yeah, hey, yeah. And she started talking about Babyface and the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. And Monica said, you know what, they didn't call me for that. And Brandy's like, they didn't call you, girl? Oh, I'm so sorry, that's too bad type deal. Like, dang, Brandy. So that was kind of funny. But then Monica came back when it was time for So Gone Over You. And she testified. She took us to church. I was like, testify, sister. And she said, back in my day, I used to kick down doors and smack chicks. Okay, she looked at Brandy, and then Brandy was like, oh, you must be talking about me, huh? And Monica was like, no. And then Brandy's like, oh, I thought you was talking about that time. Because, you know, it was rumored that back behind stage, and I think Dallas Austin had talked about how he had witnessed it, that, you know, Monica had snapped Brandy up and checked her real quick. You know, so Brandy was talking about that. So then, you know, just hearing that, and Brandy kind of laughing about it, but Brandy, you know, Monica ain't that one. You know, Monica was the streets. You were the proper, you know, say the right thing type girl. It is what it is. But then the other thing I noticed, it's like they must have came there expecting something to happen, because Brandy was like, I brought my brother. Monica's like, well, I brought my brother too. You know, I don't go nowhere without mine. And, you know, I was like, dang, something might pop off for real. Okay, like I hope they keep it classy, because y'all are grown women with kids and y'all are too old for that now. So that's, you know, then you know, the other thing too, Brandy was like, I got another poem. I'm like, girl, what is this? The intro to Moesha? Moesha Angelo? What you, girl? And then Monica, she was trying her best not to give that look like, girl, if you don't start reading these poems. So that was just another thing that I noticed. And like I said, there was just some underlying things that you can kind of see back and forth that they were saying about each other. But overall, it was as professional as can be. And I really did thoroughly enjoy that aspect of them complimenting each other and talking about, you know, coming up, they talked about Babyface, and they had that in common. How Brandy talked about working with Missy, and Monica talked about working with Rodney Jerkins, and they talked about just some of their connection to the music and different things like that. And then they also did tributes, like Monica did a tribute to Kobe Bryant. Brandy did a tribute to a lot of people that they lost, and just, you know, just overall in that aspect, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, Brandy had mentioned, you know, she pretty much said that, you know, Missy should write a song for the two of them to do together, because I guess she was really stuck on Missy and Monica. So hopefully we get a song. Brandy, Monica, give us a song. Missy, do some writing. You know, Brandy talked about Jasmine Selman. Maybe get some Jasmine up in there, something, do a couple of riffs and runs and some ad-libs. You know, let's make it happen. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the fashion. I don't know if Brandy was trying to be funny about wearing white sandals, because, you know, the sandals were mentioned. And Monica was like, I should have brought those sandals, and, you know, the meme and all this other stuff. And Brandy's like, oh yeah, I did see that. And it was just like, that. That was just funny to me. But then, you know, you look down, it's like, well, Brandy, you look like you got on Monica's old shoes. I don't know if Brandy wore white shoes just to, because that's just something that she felt comfortable wearing to go with technically kind of with the outfit. I don't know what she was thinking, or was she wearing those white shoes to be funny towards Monica. But, you know, Brandy, that jacket was nice. I don't know about everything else. I understand you got to be comfortable. You there for 3, 4, 5 hours, depending. I might have did a pre-show, pre-pictures, and then after, whatever y'all did. I get it. Monica, you came in there with the Fendi girl, but you came in looking like that character from Shrek. I was like, oh no, girl, what you doing? But overall, I love the ensemble that Monica had on. So that the only couple of things I personally would have wished is that it was a little longer, because as much as people were saying, well, Brandy got hits, there was a whole bunch of songs that made the radio or that Monica was featured on that did not get played. Just like there was quite a few songs that Brandy could have played. So, you know, I just think that people were a little bit biased in that aspect. So, you know, Brandy's like, we should do another part 2. I'm down for a part 2. Give us a part 2. You know, y'all play some of those songs that y'all wasn't able to play. I also just wish, you know, while they were there, they would have talked about Whitney Houston a little bit. Because, you know, as much as Brandy played Impossible, Monica did shoot with Whitney Houston, okay? So I wish they would have talked about Whitney Houston and just some of that aspect, and just a little bit more maybe of their beginning. Talk a little bit about Shooting the Boy's Mind and It Belongs to Me. Also, I wish they would have talked about what else I wish it would say? I'm losing my train of thought here. Definitely about Whitney. Oh, that's what I wanted them to talk about. My bad. I want them to talk about Mekhi Phifer. You know, it was cool. They both caught him at the end of that video. But I want to know who really had him first. Did Brandy, did you have him first based off the song? Or did Monica, did you have him first based off the song? And yeah, y'all slit the door in his face, but you know, Mekhi Phifer was looking smooth and looking good, you know, so looking them lips in that video and everything back in the day. So did one of y'all take him back? I would have loved for y'all to talk about that dynamic, because y'all was fighting over the boy one time, and then y'all talking about dissing the boy the next time when it belongs to me. So I would have loved to see that. And just overall, once again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The little shade, the songs, the hits. I was singing the whole time, y'all. I wasn't like, well, oh, Monica's songs are on, so I'm only singing her songs. I was singing Brandy's songs. I was calling my friends was calling me when certain songs came on, just to show you Monica not having it, or Almost Doesn't Count, or a song that got me through, Have You Ever Loved Somebody? For You I Will, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's pretty much my recap on it. Now they both tried to do some promo, and it didn't work, okay? Listen, Brandy, we came here to hear the classic Brandy. We came to hear the 90s. We came to hear the early 2000s. And what about all of the, even, you know, Aphrodisiac, that was fine. And even if you would have did like some of the Human and Long Distance, which you didn't do, that's fine. Nobody was checking for those B7 songs. You thought, oh yeah, let me just throw this B7. This is for my newest album. That was probably the part where people did intermission. Like, let me go, I don't know this one. Let me go to the bathroom. Let me restock up on my snacks. It's already been like an hour and a half. Brandy, this is for the classics. That B7, it's a cool album, but we wasn't here for what just came out a couple of days ago. We was here for nostalgia, what came out from the beginning to the early, you know, 2007, 8-ish, not no 2020. Monica tried it too. So, but let me just drop this bomb on y'all. Let me just drop my new single. And we just like, Monica, we love you, girl. We love you. We love Soak On, and we the Rowdy Chick, and we love, you know, Angel of Mine and every song that you came out with. But nah, it was a no. Cool song for what it was. With the girl from Sister SA, it was cool for what it was, but wasn't all that. Listen, if you're gonna be in front of 5 million people and drop a single, it should have been a lot more hotter than what you did. So Brandy, nice try with the B7 promotion. Monica, nice try with the trenches, in the trenches, the drenches. It was a drench. It was a drought. It was a no. That song was in the trench, all right. Okay, love you both, but nice try. Another thing too, I want to say to all of the fans, not the ones like me that like both, is fear to both, listen to both in heavy rotation, grew up listening to both. But for some of the fans, one of the things that I noticed, and this is my last note. One of the things that I noticed in regards to Brandy and Monica is, and this goes for a lot of celebrities, a lot of the times they may have beef, but I realized that a lot of celebrities like Brandy and Monica, their beef is only intensified because we as the fans keep it going. We're the ones where, oh, she's better. She always had the better looks, and that's the reason why Monica don't like Brandy, and that's the reason why, and then you got the media and the blogs. Now, understand that media, y'all gotta eat, y'all gotta have stories, you guys wanna have people reading your blogs and watching your videos and different things like that too. But sometimes let it go. You know, sometimes people really wanna heal, people really wanna move forward. They got kids, they got careers, They trying to write, they trying to give us, they in the pandemic just like the rest of us. They ain't making that much money like the rest of us, you know, and some more stuff. And we as the fans keep it going. And, you know, that's all I'm gonna say on that. If these two are really trying to heal, these two are really trying to, you know, maybe Brandy was talking about a tour, maybe go on tour together, do the Brandy Monica, the Boys Mind tour. I don't know. It Belongs to Me tour. I'm giving out names. I don't know. But, you know, if they really get to that real solid place of friendship and solid place of peace, please leave the beef alone. And let's respect them both as great singers, as great artists that solidified their spots as women in the music industry, that are still here and still standing. Because a lot of people that came out in their time, they only have one album or two albums, and they haven't been consistent, or you barely hear from them. Or they might come up for a reunion tour or something like that. If the record label, like, you know, certain record labels, they're doing like nostalgia things, like, you know, this tour and that tour and the reunion tour and stuff like that. But you don't really hear too much from them. These two have been consistent enough for us to talk about them, for us to want this. So let them be friends if they're gonna be legit friends. And let's not bring nothing back up and start this stuff. And I just hope that Brandy and Monica going forward, that y'all have communication. Don't let the fans that don't know nothing about nothing keep y'all from y'all checks and y'all monies and from y'all singing and beefing. The beef should be because you said something, Monica, or Brandy said something, not because the fan said something. Who cares about us? What we got to say? Yeah, enough, because we're the ones who go to your tours and stuff. Worry about business stuff, but don't worry about personal stuff. That's between y'all, you know? Another thing I wanted to talk about too is, and I know I said the last thing, but I have to get this one out. My song came on and me and my homegirl was talking. Use a hoe, sideline hoe. And Brandy's talking about, you can't say that. Monica's like a grown woman. She can say that she want. And Brandy talking, oh, my 18-year-old daughter. Listen, Brandy, you have a daughter out of wedlock. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. You was grown. You lied and said you was married, or that the marriage was real. I was reading you on the Oprah show. You talked about the marriage and the force and all those different types of things, whatever have you. So you was getting down. You was doing some things. You was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Rumor on the street was, you know, allegedly that you and Kobe Bryant did some things on your prom night. It is what it is. You know, you have some fun, but you have a daughter. That's an 18-year-old teenage daughter, girl, in 2020. She know what a hoe is. She know what a thought is, a hoe is, you know, WAP and all the rest of that stuff. These teenagers know that stuff. So, you know, and then She said, now I'm gonna have to clean it up. And then after Brandy played another song, Monica was like, oh. So that's you know, that's something that I laughed about, because I really do love that song. Sideline ho, yeah. And as I take it home, this is the last thing I want to do. Is you notice that Brandy and Monica, we keep on saying Brandy's the better vocalist, and you know, while Monica does have a stronger voice, Brandy has the better voice and all this other stuff. They both genuinely comment each other. Monica is always, down through the years, Monica has been consistent. No one's tone is matching Brandy. And y'all never give Monica that respect. I guess because y'all Brandy fans don't really check for Monica like that. But Monica, if you listen to Monica's interview, she's always been consistent about Brandy's voice, Brandy's tone, and she's always respected it. One thing that Brandy said is that she respects Monica's voice and loves Monica's voice, and she says that she wished that she can do the falsettos like Monica can. That's one thing that Brandy don't have is a falsetto. And Monica tried to say, yes, you do. There's some songs that say otherwise. And Brandy was like, no, don't do that. Let's keep it cute. I'm giving you a compliment. And I'm telling the truth, I don't have no falsetto. So overall, it was just a lot of back and forth. Now I know I've been all over the place because I'm starting to think of stuff as I come. But the DJs were good. The sound was good. Nothing went out. You know, Ray J came up in there a little bit. Wait a minute, ain't that Brandy's brother? You know, she was like, get out. And I just wish they would have performed their two songs together. But I guess Mom's like, we ain't getting paid for this, so I'm not singing. And I'm pretty sure, you know, if she was getting paid, she would have said, all right, I have to sing this song. She would have sang it. Because the thing is, like, a lot of y'all saying, you know, Monica know not to sing with Brandy. They have a multi-platinum single together. They performed that song together a whole bunch of different times. When they came back with It Belongs to Me, they went on tour again and they sang that song. So for y'all to be like, Monica don't want to sing next to Brandy, they have that's the only song together, that's the only song that both of them got a Grammy for. So to say that Monica ain't never been scared to sing. When they was talking about Whitney Houston a few years back, and Brandy started crying, Monica carried on the song and was singing. They was sitting at a table. So come on, y'all. You want to say Brandy got the better voice. You want to say Brandy got the better vocals and Monica ain't touching Brandy vocally. That's one thing. But Monica is still going to sing, and she sang flat-footed. How I view Monica, and I'm really done this time. I know I've been saying this. How I view Monica amongst Brandy and amongst some of the other vocalists of their time, I view Monica like Aunt Gladys, right? Aunt Gladys Nights. With Aunt Gladys Nights, there's Aunt Patty, there's Aunt Riri, rest in peace, and you know, a few others like Shaka Khan, all the other ones that can really like belt notes and can riff and run. Gladys wasn't like that. Now Gladys said, okay, Patty, you got your note. Aretha, you doing your thing. And I'm still here and I'm still going to sing. She was the middle. She was comfortable. And she still had plenty of hits. She's still a legend. She's still amongst the Patty and Aretha's and everything else. But we know Aunt Gladys was just that middle. She was the alto, whatever the case may be. That's how I view Monica. And Monica kind of has like that Gladys Nice voice too. But, you know, I view Monica as that. She can sing. She's not the Brandy. She's not, you know, Beyonce kind of came out in the 90s, you know, so you can kind of say she's, and even though she came later on, but you know, amongst her peers, I view Monica as like, okay, I can't do all of that like you doing, Brandy. I'm not gonna do all that like you doing, B. I'm not gonna do all of that like a couple of other girls that were out during that time. But I'm still gonna sing, and I'm gonna stand flat-footed, and I'm gonna do it. You know, so there's room to like both, appreciate both, to listen to both. It's okay if you're a Brandy fan and every now and then you play some Monica. It's okay if you're a Monica hardcore fan and every now and then you play some Brandy. It's okay. It's okay. Okay? And let's just accept it and appreciate it for what it is. And you know, their songs are on the top of Apple, iTunes charts right now. So they're both doing good. They're people that never heard of them, never really rocked with them, and now rocking with them and listen to them. So it's all good. It's all greens and gravy. So thank y'all. I think that's all I have to say today about the Brandy and Monica. Thank you for listening to me, allowing me to talk about them. And till the next time, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. And to the next time. Thank you for tuning into the Maine-J Show. It's your boy Maine-J. And this has been Maine-Chat. Peace.